everyone talks about the biggest problem, talk about the issue about volatility. Is it volatile? Yeah, it is volatile. And I think there was a very interesting quote from Chris from Fidelity, who said that volatility is not risk. Risk is capital destruction. And I agree completely with that. That's exactly what we're actually talking here. But what is volatility, and what terms are we talking about volatility? So you see the graph there. The orange line is the daily, basically changes in terms of daily returns for BTC. Yeah, it's significantly more volatile. But as well, I compare that with the S&P 500, daily changes in the returns. But let's focus on something. Let's talk about the fat tails, or the tails of that distribution. So if you think about it, okay, well, you can see that if I give you a little more of those numbers, BTC, Bitcoin, in a bad day, in the 5% worst days, it actually loses around 5.6%, versus the S&P 500 around 1.7%. Now, if you go to the other side of that distribution and you go to the 95th percentile, so the 5 best days, well, you actually see that BTC perceived delivery is something around 6.2%. So minus 5.7% versus 6.2%. So in a quantitative jargon, that actually means is that the distribution is skewed to the positive side. And I think I don't have to say to anyone here, everyone believes that the prior is that BTC will actually go higher. Well, it's actually showing in the distribution of returns. Okay, it's there. Now, but if you compare that with the S&P 500, well, you lose minus 1.7%. But if you actually look at the 5 best performance, it's going to be 1.6%. Well, that's no positive skew. But actually, we love equities. We think equities is a reasonable sort of trade-off in terms of risk and return. Now, BTC is significantly better. Now, so how can we actually take advantage of that? And I remember I saw the presentation from the gentleman from the CEO of MetaPlanet, which I think is kind of quite interesting, the analogy that he does, that he has in this slide, that he has a reactor, where you actually have BTC, a reactor, and it has a lot of energy coming out. Well, that energy, I kind of perceive it to be volatility. Now, the question is, how do you harvest that volatility to your advantage, and which is kind of quite important.